I'm excited today. Hi,
Hello.
how's it going?
Good.
Good. Everybody can hear us all right?
I
Yeah.
can hear you.
Good, good, good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Rachel. I'm from Woodburn Corner, and
Hi.
this is Brad from
Yeah.
Razertip. I'm going to start off by just asking you to just do like a quick introduction of who you are, what your role is at Razertip, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, you bet. So I'm Brad Merkel. I am the operations manager at Razertip. Um, and yeah, I've been I'm I'm the founder's son. My dad is Cam Merkel. He started it all. Um, so I've kind of been here forever. And yeah,
There hasn't been a time where you haven't been part of Razertip.
there was a few years where I was off doing some other stuff, and but I'd always, stop in here every couple times a week anyway, driving by, and like I knew what was always happening here.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
gotcha.
sure.
What year was it started?
Uh, 1984
Okay.
is when he made his first tools
Wow.
and started. So I mean, there's a bit of a history there. Like he started off carving birds
Okay.
and was an artist, and the tools available at the time just weren't really doing it for him. So he decided to make his own, and he was teaching classes as well to other people doing the same art form, and then they would want him to make them a tool, and it
And they're like, I
just kind
want
of
what
grew
you
from
have.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then it just grew naturally.
yeah,
That's awesome. That's
yeah.
awesome. So
Just gonna turn it up a little bit here.
since 1984. So it's been around longer than I have. That's that's cool. Um, so how has things changed now that we're dealing with this pandemic? What's going on with the business? How like what's changed in Razortip world?
Um, if you go down, like, basically at our shop here, it's not a lot has changed. There's, obviously making sure that everyone is working within the right space from each other and all that stuff. But we do have a showroom and a store kind of front
Mhm.
area, and that's closed.
I
Um,
imagine so, yeah.
but and so but we're still manufacturing and shipping orders and stuff. We have the online store that we're shipping from still, and trying to keep people equipped to.
To do all
Well,
of their fun hobbies during
that's right.
this
Well, they're
time.
stuck at home.
Yeah, where they have a little more time on their hands.
That's right. Yeah.
I wish I had more time. I have three small children, so I get just a couple of hours here and there. And I'm jealous of some of the people that are like, I'm so bored right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
I wish I could be
Yeah.
that bored right now. That sounds kind of nice. Um, so, how many people are on the team at Razortip?
We have about 20 people on the team here, and then maybe a few more kind of extra uh, part-time kind of contract type people that we work
Okay.
with as well. So, yeah.
And how many work on the actual like products and design and all of that stuff versus like just general
Most,
day-to-day
yeah, most
sales?
of our staff is most of it's manufacturing.
Okay,
Assembling the stuff. Yeah.
cool. I'm like, I want to know more about the manufacturing, so we'll get to
Hmm.
some of that. Can you just share with us about like the different machines that you offer, how they differ, how they're the same? Just and if you have any on hand, feel free to show them off. I've got
Yeah.
I've got my SK here, my baby. This was the very first professional wood burner that I ever bought myself, and I had saved up from like pieces that I had sold to buy myself the razor tip burner, and
Good.
it was a game changer for me. It really it took everything up to like the next level in a
Yeah.
way that I wasn't expecting. And I think a lot of it has to do with the grip and how quick it heats up and how quick it cools down. And there's just so many great things about it. But I would love to hear from you how the different machines, why, you have, I think, three different or four different burners, and how are they different? How are they the same?
Yeah, we have. So yeah, right now we have three different power supplies. There's the SK, which you have and you've
Yeah.
shown, and it's just a single kind of standard workhorse that way. And then we have the SSD. It's a dual SSD 10, I guess. It's the dual unit. It's basically the same thing as the SK. But it's got an extra port on there, and then you can go back and forth between them. It does have a low end adjust on it, so you can, on the low end, if it was still too warm for whatever reason, you can turn it down even lower. And then we have sort of the new machine that we've come out with in the last, well, it was just over a year ago. Is
This is the digital one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one
looks so futuristic and so cool.
Well, and it's it wasn't just to put a touch screen on it. Like, it has function for that, and gives you a bit more control, I think, than a knob would, and more precision, because that's really what we've really tried to do with it is make it as precise as possible.
So I guess my question is, so does it hold temperature if you're having fluctuations in electricity? Because I know some people who, I was just talking with Megan from Unstrung Studios, and she was saying she lives in a really old house, and depending on how many people are using electricity at that time, her electricity fluctuates. And so she has to just turn her temperature up or down on her dial based on whatever's going on with her electric flow.
Yep.
And so is it something that that machine can adjust for?
That pretty much is not an issue with the P80 at all, actually. That's one of the big features of it, is the constant power output from it. Like, a lot of people will experience, like, when their fridge kicks in, the lights dim, or something like that, or someone's in their garage burning and their neighbor down the alley starts up their welder.
Right.
And then their tip cools off, and then so they turn it up, and then when the guy's done welding or whatever, then the tip starts, and they burn a big hole in their work.
Yeah.
So the P80 won't have that problem.
Cool.
The other kind of really cool thing about the P80 that we thought would happen, but when we saw it happening was really neat, was seeing there's a few people that have reached out to us and that travel a lot internationally, and they take their wood burner with them.
Yeah.
And it plugs in anywhere, and you don't need an adapter or any kind of power converter or anything. It's like North America, Europe, wherever, it doesn't matter. The voltage in, same thing output on the tip, and your heat setting, is the same on that.
That's got to be really nice for shipping for you guys too, to be able to ship to anywhere, because that it's just going to work.
Well, yeah, and we do ship anywhere already. We make units, 220 volts units for like Australia, Europe, the UK. We ship all over the world for those, but they're a special unit, right? They have a different power inside and different connector plug, that kind of thing. So the P80, it's just basically a different cord on the back, and away you go.
That's awesome. That's really cool. It makes it really nice for everybody, for you guys and for the people that get it on the receiving end too.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to try one of those at some point. Like, I'm gonna have to get my hands on one.
Yeah, and I can show you. Sorry, I do have one here.
Yeah.
This is it.
So pretty.
And so it's got like just a touch screen for a keypad, and there's the up and down. So it's got it'll go from 100 to all the way, and then there's like a nudge feature. You can
just
adjust it up, and then you can punch in anything you want.
So cool. So you can find your exact temperature that you like for this specific type of wood, and then you just know every time you set it right there, and you're good to go. That's cool. Very cool. So can you talk to us then a little bit about like the manufacturing process? Where are the machines made? How are the nibs made? Are you guys making them by hand? How do you come up with the ideas for the nibs? All of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with the machines. Everything is made here.
In Canada.
In Canada at our shop.
Okay.
We run all the plastics ourselves, all the cases, basically anything for our wood burning tools. The plastics are all run in-house. The pen bodies for our pens, the cases, the sides, and then all of that's run in-house. And then, we try to source as much as we can locally for suppliers. And so then, as close to home as possible with that stuff. And then we have everything, basically assembled here. All the different units are tested here. We have a fairly, like, one of the things that's very important to us is our safety certification.
Mm.
All of our machines are safety certified through the ETL CUS standards. So, you know, they're a the high quality standard that we achieve and we want to achieve, I guess. And so part of that is the testing in-house for everything. And then, yeah, so it's all assembled here. The pens are all made here. Our cords are all made here. The handpiece
so cool.
cords going from the machine to everything's made here. The tips are all made here. And there's a combination of different, depending on the tip, basically, mm-hmm. how it's made.
I imagine, because some of the nibs that you guys offer are like just the straight pieces of wire that you can make yourself. So yep. I imagine that is not handmade.
Right, they're just cut, and then we include them in with those pens, and you know that's not even really a tip. It's just a piece right. of wire, and right. we offer the wire to people because even though we make over 900 different unique tips,
wow,
there's always someone wants to make something else, right? So
yeah,
and we're always open to suggestions. People like we have that many tips because we've always been open to, you know, when people want something, it's like, yeah, we'll try that.
So you hear that, wood burning people? You guys all hear that? You guys can make suggestions.
However, the interesting thing with that is quite often people will phone us and be like, I've been looking through and I can't find, you know, this, I need something. And I'm like, no, we have it. You know, we should have it with that many tips. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just chatting with a couple of my friends the other day because I hosted a wood burning retreat called the Burn Club Retreat. And there were 13 wood burning artists all sharing a house together, learning and trying each other's tools and everything and all of that. And one of the wood burning artists is Canadian, Fine Line Pyro, and she brought her Razertip, and she has this one tip. She calls it the sexy tip is what she calls this burner nib. And it's very small and very flat and square edged, and it's small and very skinny, and she loves it and she uses it for everything. And I tried it and I'm like, okay, I get why it's good for some things, but I could never do the things that she does with it. And so it's just really interesting how certain people have certain tips that they love, but the fact that she has a title for it, she's like, oh yeah, that's the sexy tip. She calls it the sexy tip, and that's the one that is the one that she uses all the time. And I have my personal favorite, and it's this one's my personal favorite. It's a curved one, but you can see that I have definitely shaped it over time to my hand and how I use it. But it's you know, everybody's got their ones that they love and use all the time. So
well, and you can make something out of just a piece of the wire.
Yeah.
And that ends up being your favorite, you know.
Right.
It doesn't have to be, you know, if you're just doing like the piece that comes with the the one there, like that's just a bent hoop tip, we call it. Yeah. We don't even have a name for it.
Yeah.
And it's you can do all kinds of stuff with it.
You can. You can. Just the curved, I call them the curved loops, but very similar. And it's my favorite. I love it. But there's also, I was talking with Unstrung Studios, and she took one of it was like a cutting nib, and she like trimmed it up to make it a little bit more rounded and small. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's her favorite nib now too. So you can take any of them and really make them your own, which is so cool. Yeah, someone had a question. They said, if you have a pen with the grip going loose, is the pen unsafe to use? Are you talking about I assume they're talking about just this part coming loose. I mean, mine shifts, it can, but I haven't ever had a problem with it being unsafe. If it's really sliding down, I imagine it wouldn't be safe, but I don't know if you have a piece of advice for them.
Yeah, if the grip is coming off, it's possible that the grip has kind of stretched out. And, you know, there's replacement grips available. If they're talking about something with the pen, you know, coming apart or something like that, then, you know, it's more anything safety on the pen is more thinking of like if you're going to burn your fingers on the
Yeah.
hand. There's not like power flowing through, you're going to get electrocuted or anything. It's not high enough that way to do anything like that. But the yeah, just the grip coming off, you want to have a good secure grip. And the grips, some people like working back a ways for whatever reason, or so we want them to be movable,
Right.
but you don't want them to be flying off.
Sliding. Right.
And
right.
And sometimes people just working because of the you're pushing down, it works its way up. So you have to kind of adjust it sometimes, and that's yeah.
Just be mindful. I mean, I always say that when you're wood burning is always be mindful of where your burner is at all times. If it's hot, all of that stuff. You just always treat it like a hot machine because it is.
Yeah. Well, and there's so many different types of work people do. Some people burn hot and push hard, and some people are very delicate and they never have the issues with grips moving or bending tips or anything. And then other people have, it's just the nature of their work is that the tips are bending.
It's like the same with toothbrushes. You know how some people have toothbrushes that look brand new and other people, it looks like they chew on them every day. So it's kind of like that. It depends on how rough you are on your machine. So I was looking through some of your 900 tips online and your nibs, and I was seeing that you guys have options for like make your own sets, and there's like sets where you can get a whole bunch of them, and you've got stamping tips and cutting tips and shading tips and writing tips, and some that are specific for feather making. What's your most popular nib? What's the one that you guys sell the most of?
We do have a 5-piece tip set that has kind of for pyrography, and we have like a starter kit with a machine and some pens that have tips in them for pyrography as well. And there are a lot of shaders and stuff because shaders, ball tips, those kinds are the most common. Seems that people like it.
That you guys like it. Gotcha. But do you have any that are in the works that are new that are going to be coming out that people might be interested in, sort of a thing? Or is it there's just always some, you're always adding?
We'll always add stuff if we feel it's a new thing that isn't really addressed already. Like sometimes people will say, oh, can you make this? And well, that's pretty much like this tip that we already make. So we can, even some people will still customize a tip for them. But it can be hard to track that because we don't necessarily assign a number to it.
Right.
So then they might send a picture and be like, can you make another one of these or something like that?
Gotcha.
So we have done that. It has to be something that's, worth doing basically, because it's, and we know enough about the way the tips heat, and there's only a certain amount of size that they can be. That's one of the big things. Some people will say, can you heat up this big block of metal for me? It's like, no, there's just not enough heat in the tip for that. So we do have some of those blank tips that people can get. They're like a little steel blank on the end, and people can shape those. And anything bigger than that just won't heat.
Gotcha. Okay. It's nice to know where the maximum is and where you have to draw the line, and
as far as like new tips go, we don't have any. Again, with 900 shapes, we've probably covered most of their bases.
Go and search the website for a little while. You'll be there for some time. What other tools and supplies do you guys offer beyond wood burning? Because I was looking at the website and was surprised by some of the stuff that I wasn't expecting. That I didn't know Razertip had X, Y, and Z. So what other types of supplies and tools do you guys offer?
Well, we carry a whole bunch of different carving supplies basically, and a lot of wood carving power tools and stuff like that, and paints and bits and some of that kind of stuff, and wood, like carving wood. We've sold all that stuff sort of since the beginning as well. And that again sort of comes from Cam's, my dad's roots in carving, right? And he still does bird carving, um, and that's definitely a part of our sort of where we started from, and so we still have all that stuff. We don't really make anything for that space, but we and the wood burning tools is the bulk of what we do.
That's
but
the
we'll always sell that stuff, I think, for sure, because it's you know, to some fashion or another. Like we don't we've kind of found what we sell, and that's kind of where we're. But yeah,
Gotcha.
I'm trying to think other stuff that we would have.
Well, I just was, you know, you've got different books and you have paint supplies, you have reference materials, and
a lot of
glass
specialty
eyes,
things. Yeah,
which was glass eyes was something I wasn't expecting
yeah.
to see, but that's part of the carving world.
That's
glass
right.
eyes.
Glass eyes. There's feet. There's study bills,
things
reference
that you
stuff.
would not expect to find when you go to Razertip necessarily as a pyrographer, but it's there. So it's just really cool to see. What other art forms have you found besides pyrography that you see people using burners for?
Yeah, so there's a lot of people using them for like industrial stuff, plastics and that kind of stuff. And there's there's quite a few people using them for wax, like sculpting.
Oh, cool.
We do make in amongst our 900 different tips, there's a select few tips of like wax writers, they're called. Like, so if you've ever seen like Easter egg wax stuff, so we have some tips that you can put the wax in and do the Easter eggs with those. And so that's kind of a whole other art form that doesn't really involve burning wood. Really
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
it's really neat.
And then we have there's some artists using our stuff for putting gold foiling on like leather and stuff. And again, that's not burning wood or burning anything really. It's just using the hot tip. Then it's not even that hot at this point. And they just put that gold foiling on the leather, and just some incredible stuff that people are doing with that. So
I don't know if you saw this, but King Pyrography just said they couldn't live without the Razertip.
Oh, yeah, good.
It's very sweet. So are there any other new products in the works? I mean, I know you guys just came out with this new burner, but I have to ask if there's anything new.
Well, and I knew you were going to ask that. So I actually thought, hey, this is a good chance, because you'd probably want to see. So I showed you the P80, but we've kind of got an updated version of it. It's called the P88, that we will be having available probably in the fall. And it's basically, I'll show you, it's basically the same thing. Like, it looks very similar. Whereas the P80 has one screen. This has two more kind of, like, so you can program in, like you can type in what you want the heat setting to be.
And then you just tap it and it goes right there.
And it goes there, and you can hold it down.
It's like that memory setting.
And then it brings up a keypad.
In the car.
Yeah, and then you can type in, like, you know, where is it here? I'm backwards here. So you can type in, you know, whatever you want. Right? And then you can set your heat setting to whatever you want it to be, and then you've got that one and that, right? And there's another one. There's 8 unique memory banks.
It's like the memory in your car seat. That's so cool. It's so cool. I'm just very excited about it. Car, you've got the different settings. It's like got the memory settings, so you can always remember, like, I'm in the car now and I want it on level whatever, you know. That's really cool. Well, thank you for showing us. That's really exciting.
Yeah, taking it up kind of a step up from the P80, which we wanted to keep it simple, just one screen. Basic, and then the P88 will have those few extra options. There's a couple other features in there as well that it does over and above the P80, And then of course the
Oh,
P80, I don't know, I guess since we're on it, the P80 has the side comes off and you can get expansion modules for it. And you can make basically add another machine to it.
that's
And
so
so
cool.
the P88 is also got an expansion module. So if someone has a P80 already, they can just buy a P88X
And
and
just
they
put it
can
right,
put it on,
match them
and
together.
they've got the dual unit with. So
Wow, so cool.
so we're trying to kind of create a bit of a system with that. And so if people want to be more simple with the one screen, they've got it, and then they can add to it or
Yeah.
whatever with that. Another new thing I thought I would show is we've got like our standard pens have been great. One of the things we always want to do on our end is we're always kind of raising the bar for ourselves. So I mean, with the
Like,
with
I don't know
the
if you can
P80,
see the excitement on my face. I had no idea, you guys, that he was going to be showing us 2 new things today, but I'm like, I'm over here just like very excited right now as to what you're about to show us. So
yeah, so we always raise the bar for ourselves. The P80 was an example of sort of the best burner that we could make, and Cam was obviously, it's like his dream burner as far as how it can work for burning feather detail into his birds. And of course, it's just a great machine with great heat and heat recovery. So that's that. And then, and the smallest kind of in size, but we've always sort of thought we want to raise the bar. And so we've got new pens with their, where are we here? They've got a kind of a ceramic end on them. I'll move out of the way. And so they heat the same as far as like tip function goes, but they perform way cooler than previously. They're a solid body pen. The previous ones had a joint in the middle and they were attached, and we had a few of those fail. So we would again sort of, that's what we came up with. It doesn't look a lot different, but we wanted it to be somewhat different, like the ceramic thing on the end gives it a distinct look. So it's not totally just, oh, I can't tell the difference between the two. And it also functions as a bit of a, kind of keeps some of the heat from going straight into the pen, and it's vented all the way through. So even better venting than our previous pen.
why this happens, it keeps happening. It's very frustrating, but they all could hear you, which is great.
Oh,
I'm
good.
gonna have to go back and listen. I know that you were showing it. Can you do me a favor though? Can you show the difference between the old burner, the old pen, and what is going to be the new pen?
Yeah. So this is the old one here, and basically the same thing. There was venting in the middle. This was attached here, so most of the time it was never an issue, but every once in a while we had them come apart there. So we thought, well, again, what can we do to make it better? So this is what we've come up with. It's just solid, and it is thick. These things are like, they're pretty hard to damage even. Like, they're just so tough for those that are really tough on their tools. But the main visual difference is the end here. Like, this is just flat across, and then this has a kind of a dome on the end, and that's a ceramic piece. It keeps the heat, a lot of the heat, from coming into the pen, so you can probably burn longer without having
any heat on your hands.
Yeah, and that's one of those things too. It just depends on how hot people burn. Some people burn for 8 hours on one of these things.
Right.
And they don't have a glove or anything. They just they
Right.
burn. Other people are, oh, after 10 minutes I got to wear something, right? So it's hard to get it perfect for everybody. But this will definitely be it definitely burns a lot cooler.
So cool. So when are those going to be available?
We're kind of just rolling them out as they need to be, with different stock. There's nothing wrong with the old pens. They're not like a defective or anything like that. So, but yeah, they're basically within the next couple of weeks we'll probably be shipping most of them. in that
So
form.
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. I love seeing that. And it's great that you guys are the type of company that are like, how can we always be getting better? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's always good to see in a company. Um, so I am like, that question was so much better than I ever could have imagined it was going to be. So I'm just like very excited about seeing all of those new products. How do you recommend that people and does it depend on the type of nib?
It does depend a little bit on the type of tip. Generally, like we basically, we say never use anything abrasive on your tips. Some tips can take it, you know, and it doesn't really harm them, but we don't, like, we offer a warranty on our stuff. We want people to be able to have everything serviced, including the tips. So if the tip breaks, it doesn't matter how it broke. Like, they could say, oh, I took my bench grinder to it or my sandpaper or whatever. It doesn't affect the warranty. So we're not trying to you know, get out of being responsible for repairing stuff if it breaks. Our warranties are unconditional. But generally speaking, I think there's a bit of, people want a tip cleaned and they want it to look shiny and new again. And that's not really necessary. It's nice. But one of the things is just scraping the carbon off of it, right? Keeping the burning area clean from that caked on stuff. So we have, you know, our cleaner that we have that has the scraping thing. And most straight edge or shader type flat tips can go through it like that, you know, and scrape on the flat. But for ball tips and things with kind of curves to them and stuff like that, that's why we have like the brass brush, and that's probably mostly what I would use, is just the brass
That's what
brush
I use.
on pretty
Brass
much
brush
everything.
is my favorite.
Yeah.
It's my personal favorite. It's what I keep next to me all the time when I'm burning.
Yeah,
it's
and it also works great for, like, on the interchangeable pen, is, you know, it's best to keep the posts clean as well. So take the screws out and brush the where the tips sit.
See,
And
and that's something that I don't think I've ever done, is like the deep cleaning on my tool like that. And I probably need to. I'm
well,
sure
and the other thing is, if people are changing their tips a lot, then it gets stuff in there. But if you have that, your favorite tip in there for 2 years, it's hasn't come out, it's probably not affected by it.
Yeah, it's not really going anywhere. That one.
Yeah.
That one stays. That one stays. Um, okay, well that's great, because that's a question that everybody always has, is how do I clean my nibs? And you know, I do think that it's a personal preference thing, but it's nice to hear from the people that make the tools how you prefer that your tools are cleaned. So it's here. Other maintenance that people should be doing on their tools to keep them in tip-top shape. I mean, I dust mine on occasion when it's looking really, really dusty, but is there anything else that we should be doing?
Well, like I said, other than on the interchangeable, keeping the screws clean and that connection clean. Overall maintenance, there's not a lot of the burners we make. They've been designed to be used in a high dust environment, right? Wood carving dust and stuff like that. And a lot of wood burners aren't necessarily in that environment, but so they can handle some dust. It's not going to hurt them. The big sort of, not necessarily maintenance, but technical thing to kind of consider is just that, you know, everything is plugged in and connected securely. Like, you know, if it's plugged in properly, you'll get a good connection and things will be consistent. If
the same goes for the screws. The same goes for the screws. That's the one problem that I've come in across with the interchangeables, is that if I don't line it up right and get it screwed in tight enough, then it's not a consistent burn. So you really check your connections first, everybody, if you ever come across any sort of inconsistencies in heat, because it's probably a user issue with screwing it tight enough and stuff
most
like that.
of the time it is, and so that's good, because it's easy to fix relatively, versus having to send anything in or have it serviced. Again, however, that is something that we, again, pride ourselves in, is service. Like, we can, we've got some people, every once in a while, someone will bring in a unit that's 30 years old to have it serviced. And every once in a while we get something, we're like, you know what, we just don't have parts for this anymore, but we'll, it's like a classic. So we're like, well,
Yeah.
you know what?
You're like, can we keep it?
We'll
Can
keep
we...
it. And, you know, here's a new one, right? Or whatever. So it's,
You're like, you don't understand. This is vintage.
yeah,
Like,
it's like
this is,
my dad made this by hand 30
yeah,
years
you
ago,
don't
right?
understand how cool
And
this is.
so it's
Yeah,
pretty cool. Yeah,
that's
there's a
really,
lot of that. So, but the tools are built to last a lifetime. They're not throwaway items.
no.
They're meant to be, you know, fixed if need be. Even our pens and tips, right? We fix and repair tips. Some people just go through tips, but they want the fixed tip. So they break a tip or bend it or
Mhm.
whatever. They send it in and we just replace it. If it's under
Yeah.
warranty, it's under
Yeah.
warranty. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Um, so I saw online, and I think you might even be in the classroom if I am
I am
like
in the
seeing,
classroom.
I'm like, I think you might even be in that room. But I saw that you guys have a state-of-the-art pyrography classroom. And so seeing as you're in the room, you want to give everybody just like a quick little,
Yeah.
just a little scan tour if you
So
can.
it's just a classroom that has workstations that are fully equipped with like everything that you would need for carving is kind of the main base of everything. But then each station has its own wood burning setup as well. So we've had pyrography classes, we've had carving classes, we've had other kind of workshops here. We actually, probably one of the most unique things, which isn't really pyrography related, but we had a bone carver from New Zealand teach a class here.
Oh, cool.
A couple of years ago. And that was really cool. And then I even showed him, I'm like, hey, look, you can burn on bone.
Yeah,
right?
you can. Yeah.
I think he knew that, but I was excited to show him.
Yeah, I've done it. It's real smelly, but
it smells
it's
awful.
Cool.
Well, it smells about as bad as carving the bone.
Oh, I imagine. Yeah, I
Yeah.
imagine.
So
it's
we've had that here.
That smell.
But one other thing you can see in the background, those green boxes.
Yes.
Those are another thing we make. For those of you that don't know, it's a dust collector. It's a portable dust collector, and it's something that we manufacture, and it's great for people that do carving or dust or anything like that, just pulling air and sucking the dust up, so you're not breathing it. Kind of a, the heavy stuff you can vacuum sweep, but that's that fine stuff that you don't want to wear, or if you want to wear a mask yet, but if you don't have one or whatever, they're great.
So someone is asking if you have a carving pyrography class or video channel.
Not right now. We don't have anything. We've been thinking about that kind of stuff and looking at ways of doing some of that stuff for a little while now. So we're brainstorming how we can make something that's just really inspiring for people to just to add to it. There's so much great information online right now, but we want to be engaging with people on what that and adding our take on some of the stuff with tools and some of the use of the tools, and just it's exciting to see how people are taking to this and how inspired people are, and we just want to equip people and inspire people through all of that.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, Instagram is a great place to see how inspired everybody is with the tools and with the community and all of that stuff. So Instagram's definitely a good spot for you guys. I was happy to see you all join the Instagram land. I think it was like a year ago or something that you guys came on, but it's cool to see you guys doing stuff there. In the community involved, I saw just recently you guys posted in stories about like what kind of pyrographer you are and what your favorite burner is and all of that stuff, and it's really cool to see everybody join in. And so there's a couple of questions that I got from some audience members, from some community members. I asked the question, like, what questions do you have for Razertip? And Completely Devoted Designs wrote, why are they the best? So that's one question, is why are you guys the best? And I think based on what I'm hearing, it just sounds like you guys no matter how good things are, you want things to get better, which is always a good sign of why people might be the best. And
Well,
then one person was asking about cleaning tips. That was hide hysteria, but I think we covered that pretty well. And then do you personally have a favorite pen or nib or tip? Is there one that you burn with? Well, I mean, if you burn and if that's the thing, like, I don't even know if that's your art form.
I do burn some. I don't burn
Okay.
as much as a lot of people. But I am familiar with pretty much all
Yeah.
the tips and what they can do. Um, and I really like the ball tips just
Yeah.
because they just glide around and write so nicely,
They're
and you
so
can
smooth.
shade
Yeah.
and you can do the points with them and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like some of this, like the spear shaders. I really like them. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I guess those, like, I guess you kind of know what you can do with a tip, even if it wasn't designed for it. Like just tip it up on its side and just start going this way. And like, so you can kind of do anything with one tip, is how I look at it.
Yeah.
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 So if
Well,
I'm
and
ever
that's
doing
that.
something, I'll just grab any old tip and yeah, that'll work, and then start going with it.
Well, and it's something that I feel like the more time you spend with a tip, the more you think, oh, this tip can do anything. You know what I mean? It's about the amount of time that you spend with a particular nib or tip that I think really gets you connected with that particular nib, where it becomes an extension of your hand, you know? So that's why I think certain people are drawn to different tips than others, but I have my favorites. So, and I think everybody kind of does too. They've got the ones that they go towards.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone is asking, are your tips compatible with the Burn Master?
Um, I don't think that they really fit that well. I know that some people have kind of made it work.
Okay.
Because I think I'm trying to remember exactly how they would fit. They have the longer legs on the Burnmaster ones, I
Yeah.
think. And so there's, I think some people have kind of bent them in and made them fit, but it's not a quick fit or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so if someone, again, we love seeing what people can make work from
Yeah.
whatever they have. And so if someone buys a set of tips from us, we've had people say, oh, they don't fit or whatever, and well, I'll try to make it work, and then maybe they do, I don't know, but we always encourage
But
that.
not
Like,
easily. Yeah. Yeah, not easily. So someone else was asking where they can find you guys in the UK.
we do have a dealer there called Yandles. I believe they have a fairly good selection of stuff. They're yeah. I think
But you guys
there's a
also
list.
have on your website on razertip.com, you guys have a whole section where it's where you find your stuff. They're authorized dealers, and so you can click on if you're in Australia or Belgium, Canada, New Zealand, and find different areas, where you can distributors.
Yep,
So,
that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
yeah. So you guys can just go straight to their website. There's a whole section to find exactly their tool, where to get them. Um, does anybody else there out in Instagram land have any more questions for Razertip and Faye? Feel free to ask right now. I will also, right after this, I will post a little questionnaire. So if you guys have any extra questions that you thought of after the fact, you can go ahead and ask them. And then I will get those questions over to Brad, and we'll do a little write-up so you guys will have a place where you can get all of these questions and answers in one spot. This video will be on YouTube for forever, so you can watch it at any point in time. If there's something you missed, you want to know more information about X, Y, and Z, you can find it later. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, Brad, before we go, or can you just tell everybody where they can find you and all of that good stuff?
Yeah, so I mean, we've got razertip.com is the website. There's a store. There's links there to a lot of the different dealers and stuff that you can get our stuff from, local shops. We always love to encourage people to go to, if they can, a local place where they can support their local business and try the product. Most of our dealers have a way of you trying this stuff. And they're a great point of, you know, if there is an issue or questions or whatever, they can help you with stuff like that. And then ultimately we will help as well with information or questions and stuff like that. So our website is kind
Well,
of the key place. And we're doing more with social media now.
yeah, which is awesome. We love seeing you guys on Instagram. It's great because it's a wonderful community we have here on Instagram with the pyrography community. And so it's nice to have you guys part of it all. It's really,
Yeah.
really cool. And if anybody has any questions about Razertip and they just want to ask me, I've got one. I can tell you my experiences with SK. So I'm happy to share because I love my SK. It's great.
Well, if you can't hear me, I will say thank you to everyone for watching, and it was great to have this chance to chat about this stuff.